the software. You can download the software to your desktop, to your laptop, and I think about 3 or 4 devices. There are other referencing softwares or packages that are available. Some of them are Mendeley. You have RefWorks. You've also got Zotero. So any of those referencing packages are also available for you to use. However, with EndNote, we have subscriptions to it, and therefore there is a backup to it. So which means if there's any problems, you can come back to us, and then we can actually check with the software developers. So what can EndNote do for you? You can store and organize your references. You can also create a reference list, meaning that if you want to just create a reference list for your students, all you have to do is just copy and paste it, and I will show you how to go about doing that. You can also format your references to suit the requirements of a referencing style. So whether it is the DUT Harvard style, whether it's the Harvard style alone, or it's the Vancouver, or if you're writing for a journal article and you send it to one paper and you send it to one journal and they use maybe the APA, but it got rejected and you did your corrections and you wanted to send it to another journal, and this journal requires you to use the Vancouver. All it is a click of a button and you can change the style, which will normally take you probably a whole day or so, depending on the length of your document. Okay, so this is an easy way to change your style, or that is to suit the requirements of any of a referencing style. The other advantage is that references can be input manually. I'm going to show you how to do that, and also exported or imported from the different online databases that you have been using. So you can automatically import it into a database, or you can manually do it. And I'm going to show you both ways. It also improves the time it takes to produce either your thesis that you are writing or your the paper that you are researching. And it does this by linking MS Word and providing all the other output styles. So that as well, I will show you as we go along. So your EndNote file is actually called your library. And you will note that even when you are creating a new library, it will actually call it your EndNote library. So where do you find the software? Okay. The software, the EndNote software, is available from the library's website under the research support. So all you'd have to do is click on research support and then research tools. And under research tools, you'll find the EndNote software. You will be required to authenticate or to log in order to download the software, because obviously it is via subscription. So, you know, anybody can get into the library's website, but in order for you to download it, you would require to authenticate or to log in. And this is using your login details. So if you're a student, you will use your login details, which is your DUT for Life email address and your password. And if you're a staff member, then you will use your login to get the software. And I will share the instructions on how to download and how to also extract the software onto your laptops and your desktops after the session. So for those of you who haven't already done it, not to worry, I will send you that. I'll send it to Vaneshri, who will be able to forward it to all of you. Yet again, please post your questions on or your comments in the chat box as we go along. I will either look at it or towards the end. Okay, so for this session, we will be using EndNote 20. So if you are currently using X9, which is 19, you will notice that with the EndNote 20, there is a change in the interface, which is a more modern look and a more streamlined look. Okay, so we're going to show you, and now I'm going to share my screen. So just give me a few seconds. So you are going to see my desktop, which is quite busy. All right. And I'm just going to give it a few minutes or a few seconds. And the reason is because sometimes some people's access does take a little bit longer for them to see the screen that you are on. So I'm going to go very slowly so that everybody is on the same page as well. So normally I have got an icon here at the bottom, which is an EndNote 1 on my taskbar at the bottom. However, if you needed to open up EndNote, you will go to the Start, and if you click on it, then all your programs will appear, and it is alphabetically arranged. So you will note there's EndNote. Once you click on EndNote, it will give you that the EndNote software that you'd have to click on in order to open up your library. So if I click on this, what it's going to do is open up my last library that I used, and that was the training library, and I've put it onto my desktop so that you can see where I've saved it. Okay. So when you are asked, or when you create a library, you can save it either to your desktop, you can save it to your external memory stick, or like your external hard drive or your memory stick. It doesn't matter exactly where. But my suggestion is that you save it as it will be in your documents. So once you save it in your documents, it will always appear there, and that is the default. When you're creating a new library, it actually defaults to calling it my EndNote library, and it saves it to my documents. So it will be saved to your documents. However, you can change the file name if you want or if you wish. So in my case, I've changed it to training library. As you can see, you are able to change it at that point. So instead of it being my EndNote library, you can change it to whatever you want to at that point. Okay, you will also note that your EndNote library comes in two parts. The training library, which is, as you can see here, this is the file that I will open up for you to see. The training library data folder is automatically created once you create your library. It automatically creates this in order for it to keep all your PDFs in there. So you won't be seeing it, but what you will see is this particular one, this library that we are looking at. Okay, so I'm going to click on it in order to open it. Okay, so now you're looking at EndNote 20. So for those of you using EndNote 19, it's quite a difference. It's a change. Your workflows are slightly different, but you would be able to navigate your way around it quite easily. On your left-hand side, you will note that this is called the group panes because these are all the groups that are within EndNote. And you can also create groups, but I'll talk about groups a bit later. Okay. In the center of the screen here, what you're going to see is all your references that you have put in. All right. So as you're going along, you're going to enter your references in, and it's going to appear here. On your right-hand side, this is actually your summary place where you will see your summary of the reference that you have got. But as I put in a reference, you will be able to see that. At the top, you have all these tabs, and if you click on it under File, these are your options under it. And here is where you can create a new library if you want to. You can open an existing library, a recent library, or just open up a library that you want. You can close your library. You can save a copy here of your library. I'm going to talk about importing files or folders into your library. Okay, so these are your options under File. When you're moving on to Edit, your options are here as well, right? Let's look under References. These are all the options. So we're going to go through some of them, not every one of them, but we're going to go through some of them as we go along. To make sure that you have the most recent version of EndNote, you will go to the Help and you will click on Check for Updates. Because every now and again, what EndNote does is it makes some changes, and in order for it to appear on yours, you'd have to actually update yours. Okay, this doesn't happen very often, but especially when there are new updates, then what happens is sometimes you will be automatically asked to update, and sometimes you just got to go and check for updates as well. Okay, so now that I've just explained the interface and what it has, what we're now going to do is we're going to enter a reference into your library, and this is manually doing it. And the reason we actually do this manually is so that you are aware what goes on in the different fields as you are using it. So at the top, you will find the References tab, and if I click on the References tab, you'll note the very first option that comes up is New Reference. And if I click on New Reference, it's going to, by default, give me the reference type being the electronic journal article. But I have got a book in front of me, and I want to actually put in this book into my library. Now remember one thing, when you're using EndNote, all your references have to be in your library, okay? So we've got to put it in, and if you don't have it, then you've got to manually put it into your library. So I've got a book in front of me, and I'd like to enter it in. So under the reference types, it's currently got electronic journal article, and if I click on this drop down, it will give me all the different reference types. And what I can do, and you'll note that it is alphabetically arranged. So I will choose book. And the minute I choose book, you will note that all these fields change, right? So they change for a book. And what I'm now going to do is fill in the details for this book. So who is the author? And in this case, my author is Drost. When I look at the title page, it's Drost. After the author, a rule for EndNote is you've got to put in a comma so the system knows that this is an author's surname. So Drost, comma, and a space, and he has got two initials. So it's E space A. The space tells the system that there are two initials. If you do not put a space between the initials, the system will not know that there are two initials there. So the space or a full stop after between the initials tells the system that there are two initials, and the author has got the two first names, or he has got two first names in there. Okay, so here's Drost. So he's the author. What is the year or the date of publication? And in this case, the date of publication is 2011, and this you will get at the back of the title page of a book. What is the title of the book? It's called Social Sciences Research. And note how I put it in. I have put it in by, and it is sentence case, meaning the very first letter is in uppercase and the rest all in lower. So that is the rule according to the DUT Harvard style, and this you will get in the DUT referencing guide. So it's always good to go through and look through the referencing guide just to make sure that what you're doing is correct as well, because EndNote is clever, but it's not all that clever. It cannot pick up certain things which you as a person will be able to pick up quite easily. Okay, so we're looking at the place published, and this is Cape Town. What about the publisher? So the publisher in this case is Juta. Okay, and all of this type of information, the publisher details, you will get at the back of the title page of a book. If you scroll down further, and if this has got an edition, then we will put it in, and in this case, it's the third edition. So note, I'm just putting in third. The ED will automatically come in as edition, right? You do not need to put in anything more. Should you want to put in more details, you're more than welcome to put it in, but the most or essential details for a book is already in. So when I click on the Save button, it will take those details and it will put it into a referencing format for me. So I'm going to close this window, and behind you will see, here it is. There is my book that I've put in. Now I would like to, okay, let me just minimize here so you can see. All right, so here at the bottom, you'll note that the details I've put in, the summary comes up, but I want to see it in the DUT Harvard style. So a lot of you may try and cannot find the DUT style, but if you'd see that little line that divides the DUT Harvard style from the summary at the top, all you do is just expand it up, and here you go, you will see it according to the DUT Harvard style. Note, I did not put in the full stops after the initials. It automatically put it in. I didn't type it in the title of the book in italics. It automatically did that. So it depends on the style that you are using. We customize the style in order for it to appear in the DUT Harvard style. Okay, so this is the first reference that we've put in, and this is the summary. I can look at the edit at the top. I'm going to click on it. When I click on it, it now brings me this page where I can now edit this, whatever I require in here. So if you made a mistake or anything, you can edit it here. But currently, I'm just going to click on the summary, and the summary will show you exactly how it appears in the DUT Harvard style. For you to make sure that it is correct, you use the DUT referencing guide in conjunction with your EndNote, just to make sure that it is correct. Okay, let's go now and do another reference. This time, we're going to go to the reference tab at the top again. We're going to click on new reference, and I have another book. So I'm going to click on the reference tab here, choose a book. And this time, I'm going to do a book with multiple authors. Okay, so the first author here is Celias, comma space, and he has one initials, which is F. And in order to put in the second author, another rule for EndNote is each author has to be on a separate line. And in order for you to get to another line, all you do is just press enter. Note that there are no spaces at the end of each field. So let's look at the second author, and this second author is called Davis, comma space, his initial is C. Note, no space. All I'm doing is pressing enter to get to the next line, and now the next author is Smith, comma space, his initial is F. Enter again. I've got one more author, which is Bezuidenhout, and his initial is, there are two, so it's R, full stop, or you can put a full stop or a space, but we're trying to avoid your using any punctuations apart from the comma after the author's surname to make it a bit more simple for you. All you do is put a space between the two initials, as I've said before. Perfect. So we have 4 authors for this book. The date of publication for this particular one is 2014. The title of this particular book is called Research Matters. If we scroll down a little bit further, we're looking for the place published, and the place published here is Claremont. And the publisher here is Juta. There's one thing I want to bring to your attention. The place published, it cannot be a country. So I've seen some referencing reference list that has United States, or it has South Africa, or it has United Kingdom, which is incorrect. You have to have a place of publication being either the town or the city of that particular publisher. Okay, and that will appear, you will see it at the back of the title page where you have the publisher details. Sometimes you will find that even at the bottom of the title page, it will tell you Juta Claremont or Juta Cape Town. You can use that from the title page as well. I'm looking for the edition field, and in this case, it's the second edition. So I'm just going to type in second. That's it. I'm now going to save this reference, and once I save it, you will note it will appear behind in my library. I'm just going to close this particular window. Here it is there. Note again, it's according to the DUT Harvard style. It's already put it in. You can look at in the edit page. You will note here it is. I'm just going to move this slightly so you can see how it appears here. And you can add more details if you want to for yourself. In this field, you will also find there are note fields. You can make notes for yourself. You can, here we go, here it is. You can put notes here. You can actually put keywords if you want to, and you can save it. All right, so if you have not done any changes or any edits in this field, this will be grayed out. So I'm going to go back to the summary page, and here it is. Right, so we've done 2 books so far. Let's now go and do a journal article. So if you go to the reference, again, I want to go to new reference. This time I want it to be a journal article, and I'm going to click on journal article there. Here, the author is also Drost again. D-R-O-S-T, comma, space, his initial E-A, E space A, and the date of publication for this article was 2011. The title of the article is Validity and Reliability in Social Science Research. So that is the title of the article. Note again that the title of the article is in sentence case, which means that the very first letter of the title will be in uppercase, the rest all in lowercase. Now let's go and do the journal title. So what is the journal title? It's called Education, Research, and Perspectives. Okay. Note the journal title, all right? It's in uppercase, but just only the important words in there, it's capitalized. The rest all in lowercase, as you can see. What about the volume number? I need a volume number. So the volume in this case is 38. Note, I'm not even putting the word V or anything, just put in the volume number. What about the issue number? The issue number is 1. And the page numbers for that article is from 105 to 123. Often I've seen some reference lists that have the start page number, but no end page number, and that is incorrect. You have to have the start page and the end page for that particular article. All right, so once we've got the details in, all we do now is click on the Save button here, and it will save the details for this particular article. I'm going to close this window, and here it appears according to the DUT Harvard style. All right, okay, so we've done a book, we've done a journal article, and I'm also going to now do an online journal article or an electronic journal article. So I'm going to go to the References tab at the top. I'm going to go to New Reference, an electronic journal article. Let's now put in the details. So in this case, I'm going to put in the author's surname, okay, which is Leko. His initials are M space M. He's got 2 initials. What about the date of publication? It's 2014 again. And the title of the article is The Value Qualitative Methods Social Validity That is the title of the article. Title of the journal is called Remedial and Special Education. What about the volume number? The volume is 35, issue number is 5, and the pages here are 275-286, right? But because this is an electronic journal article, we need more information. Sometimes you may have the article ID, you can put it in. If you have the DOI, you can also put that in, all right? But towards the bottom, you will find the URL, and this is where you will type in the URL. However, I'm going to type it in now, but when you're doing it, and it's easy to make mistakes with typing it in, all you have to do is copy it from the website and paste it in here, right? So in this case, I'm just going to say HTTP in this case, it's summon.com, just for now, all right? That's it. What about the date accessed? That's important because that appears in the referencing guide. You have to have a date accessed. So it is the 10th of March that I looked at this article, and let's say it was 2020 for that matter, right? I looked at it in 2020, and that's when I found the details for this particular article. So once I've got this, all the details in there, I now save this. And when I save it, you'll note, let me just close this window. You will note at the back, here we go, in my library, here's the details for this particular article, and it appears exactly in the DUT Harvard's referencing style as it's supposed to. So those are the fields that you require to populate in order for it to appear in here. All right. The last reference that we're going to do manually is a website, okay? And at the top, I'm going to go to references again, new reference. This time it is a website, and there are times when you will need to reference a website, okay? All you do is, it's right at the bottom under web page, okay, or a website, it's the same thing. The first thing you need to do is know who is responsible for this website. Sometimes it could be an author, or it could be an organization, it could be a body, it could be, in this case, the example that I'm going to use is the World Health Organization. So this is the responsible body for this particular website or a report that is on there. However, another rule for EndNote is that after an organization or a department or a responsible body, there has to be a comma at the end of it. And that comma indicates to the system that this, I would like it to appear as it appears here as an author in my reference. So I'm going to do it without the comma first, so that you can see what it does to this particular, to the author. Okay, so let's put in the date of publication, or rather, when you look at the website, you will see that it was in 2014 that this appeared. And what about the title? It's called World Area Report 2014. This is a report that was online, okay? And the next thing we require, you can put in all the other details, but it's not really necessary. What is really required is the URL. Where did you pick it up from? And it's HTTP. I'm going to type it in. Excuse me. Okay, so that is the web address. Normally you will not type it in, you will just copy and paste it into the URL field if required. And the access date again is very important. And here you will put in, let's put in 12th of June 2021. Okay. And all we have to do now is save this reference and close this window. Take a look here on the side. Remember, I didn't put the comma in the place there. So what it did was it took the organization as the surname and it put it in, as you can see. So this is incorrect, and I often find that this is a problem, especially in some of the reference list. Those who have been using EndNote, what happens is they forget to put the comma at the end of the responsible body or the author, who is a organization. So remember, it has to have a comma. So I clicked on the edit and I got to this page here. Now I can edit it by putting a comma, and immediately when you do an edit or anything you change, this will be activated. You now save it. Once you've saved it, you can now look at the summary, and now you'll note here it is under World Health Organization 2014 World Malaria Report 2014. It's available at this web address. I accessed it on this particular date, which is what you require for a website or a web page. Okay, so far what we've done is we've manually put in the details of a book, journal article, and a website into our library. And remember that you may have to do this at some times, because in order for you to get your references into your library, there are 3 ways. One is to manually put it in. The second is to put it in or export or import it from the different databases. And the other is to do an online search within your library, which you can do, but currently it's not working. We still got to work this out. All right. Okay, so there are 2 methods so far you're going to do. One is the manually putting it in, and the other is to put it in from the databases that you're going to be using. All right. So far, when you're typing it in, you can actually make mistakes as you are typing. So another option would be to actually get it from the different databases that you are using. So I'm going to minimize my library right from the top, as you can see here. This is the minimize button. This is the restore down button, and this button will close the entire library. Okay, so once it's closed you close the library, you have to reopen it in order for you to import your references into your library. So in order not to let that happen, I'm just going to minimize it from the top. You'll note that it is here. My library is open, but it's just minimized at the bottom here. And I'm now going to go into the library's website and how to show you how to import the references into your library. So I've got the library's website under my favorites here. You can do the same as well. You can just click on the library's website. You will get into it. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to do a search under the search here in the library on the library's website. Note that it is no more summon. We have migrated to another discovery tool, which is called EDS. And that's the reason when you actually put in a search term, you will not usually see, or you will not see summon. You will see the EBSCO discovery tool. You won't see it. You'll just be able to get into it and search. All right. So what I'm going to do now is under the search, I'm going to use my famous keywords. All right. And these are job satisfaction and higher education. As you can see, it's already there. So I'm going to just use these keywords and I'm going to search. Right, and this is right from the library's website. Under the search, you will click on, put in your keywords, and you'll click on the search button. Once you click on the search button, what the search does is it goes into all our databases and everywhere, looking for those keywords and bringing up a list of documents. or rather a list, or search results rather. Okay, you can further do an advanced search at this stage, or at the side, you can refine your searches. Okay, so in this case, I want to look at publications. As you can see, it's 582,961 results. That's a lot. And you're never going to go through all of these. You want all the ones that are more recent, and you want to see what's available. So here on the side, I can refine my search according to the date. And there's a date slider. So I am hoping that everybody is in the same page as I am. All right. So here is the date slider, and I'm going to click on it and just move the slider. And you can note that the date is changing at the side on the left-hand side. And I'm going to bring it right through until maybe let's make it 2018. Oops, it's a bit of tricky. Right, I'm got it 2018 to 2021. So what it's now doing is it's updating it, and it's bringing through a list, right? And I can then take a look at the titles and see if these are relevant to me. And yes, the very first one is relevant. So in this, you would note this is the title of the article. Here are the authors underneath it. Here in italics is the title of the journal. It gives you the volume number, it gives you the date, the volume number, the issue number, and the page numbers, as well as a DOI, which is all important for your reference. And at the bottom, it's giving you the keywords under which it has picked up this particular reference or a work. And now we have access to the full text. If you see a PDF, that means we have access to the full text. You can also save it to the cloud. You can save the PDF to the cloud, or you can export this to your EndNote. And what I'm going to do is click on the export into EndNote. Once I click on export into EndNote, what it's going to do is it's going to download a file here in the corner, and this file extension is .ris, which is compatible to EndNote. Once I click on it, it will automatically pull that reference and put it into my library. And if you click on it once, you will note that there's all the details for this particular article, and it's already in the DUT Harvard style because it's populated all of it in there. The only problem I note is that the title of the article is not in sentence case. Can you see that? So we have to do some editing there. Remember that whatever you find on the net or on the databases, if you import it into the library, it will import it exactly how it sees it, all right? How it appears there. So I'm going to minimize my library again and back into my search. Now I can do one by one. I can, import them one by one, but there's an easier method. If you look at the very first one, in the side, you will see it says cite. It's got those three icons, right? This here magnifies it. It gives you a little bit more detail to it. And here is a folder and it's got a plus sign over it. This means that I can click on it and it will add this to a folder. Okay, and here's my folder at the top there. So let's look at the second one, performance management, talent development, impact of job satisfaction at a selected higher education institution. Also looks relevant. So let me add this to my folder. I can go on through this, but what I want to also let you know or bring to your attention is, can you see this title? This title is in sentence case, whereas this here is not. So that's how it's going to appear in your library. So you would have to do a lot of editing when it comes to the titles, right? And correct them. So I'm just going to add on a few more. All right, here it is. I'm just going to add, let's add, that one looks good. So I've added so far about 6 or 7. Let's do another. Okay, let's do, well, we did about 8 or 9 so far. So you can go through this, find the relevant ones that are relevant to your research, add them into the folder by just clicking on the folder on the side. And now we want all of these in our library. So at the top, you will find that folder. I'm going to click on it. And when I click on it, it's going to take me to a page where it's telling me, okay, you have a further option to look through these and make sure that these are the ones that you want. So I know that these are all that I want. So I'm going to select all of them. All right. Once I've selected all of them, then I have options on my right-hand side. I can print, I can email, I can save them, or I can export them into my library. So if I click on the export button, what it's now going to do is take me to this page where it's automatically chosen the direct export in RIS format to any one of these, and you'll note that EndNote is one of the options there. I'm going to tick on remove these items from my folder after saving it, and the reason for that is because if I want to do another search, then I can always add more, otherwise it's going to duplicate it. So I'm going to click on the Save button, and here again, when I click on the Save button, you'll note that at the bottom, there's that RIS file. All I have to do is click on it once, and all of those references, the 8 of them, will be put into my library. Okay, so I've imported these into my library, and it's all come in as journal articles, right? But what about my other ones that I have? The ones that I manually did, where are they? So if I click on all references, you will note that it will now integrate all of them into my library. So I now have 14 references, okay, as you can see. Some of them I manually did, some of them I picked up from the search that I did, okay? And the search that you use, you can do it from any of the databases. So this time we're going to go into another database, and let's do it from Science Direct for that matter. Okay, so I'm going to minimize my library again. Note that I'm building on my references into my library. Okay, so I'm going to click minimize it, and now I'm going to close my discovery search, gone back to the library's website, but this time I'm going to go to databases A to Z. And these are the list of databases that we subscribe to. So you can do any search and it depends on your topic and your area of study. So ABI Inform may be one that you would be useful to you if you are in the business area. Or you could do Academic Search Complete, which is a multidisciplinary database. There's accounting and taxes, ACM digital. So there's a whole lot, and these are the alphabetical listing. But I'm going to use Science Direct as one of the databases. Okay, so we're going to use, and there it is, Science Direct. Once you get into Science Direct, okay, remember any of the databases that you access, you will have to sign in or authenticate for the system to know that you are part of DUT. Okay, I'm just going to say send anyway. Once into Science Direct, it gives you a whole lot of information, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the advanced search. And under the advanced search, I'm going to use my same keywords, right? And this time I'm going to put it in inverted commas. So job satisfaction. And also want higher education. Right. So those are the two words that I want to actually find and search for. However, you could look under show all fields and it will tell you exactly where it is searching from and where you would want it to search as well. If you've got a journal title, you can put in the journal title in here. If you know that there is a journal that always the articles that come up are relevant to your search, and you've always find that is a key journal in your field, you can search that journal as well. So I'm just going to search to find these, and there it is. It's now picked up 2,562 results. Okay. And it's telling me there are some review articles, there are some research articles, there's also book chapters here. All right, we may have access to some of them but not all of them. Okay, so if you see full text access, which is green, that means we have access to it and we subscribe to it, this particular title of the journal. If you see open access, that means this title is an open access journal, and that's the reason you have a green. That green indicates that you have access to the full text of this particular article. Okay, excuse me. Right, so if I look at the first one, academic job satisfaction in Tanzania's higher education, that article sounds very good for me, right? I can check the box, and when I check the box, that means that I am putting it, I want these articles, so I'm going to choose a few of them by just checking the box. All right, and these look quite relevant. Let's go and find them. Okay, I'm choosing them just like we did in our initial search. When I searched from the library's website, it gave me a list. All I did was choose the ones that I wanted. I put it into the folder. However, in some databases, they give you a checkbox, which you check the box. That means that you want those ones. You have selected them. Now, here, all I can do is click on this export button. Remember, that's the button that we're looking for. And when I click on the export button, it gives me these options. And if you remember, I said the RIS is the one that is compatible to EndNote. So I'm going to click on export citation to RIS. Once I do that, that little file that comes up at the bottom is what I'm looking for. And once I click on it once, it will automatically import those references into my library. Okay, so note, it's now picked up all of it. It's even picked up the abstract to that, and wherever it has the abstract, it will bring it in. So I'm going to just pull up this so that you can see the DUT Harvard style. Here it is, and all the details are there. There will be times where you have a volume number, but you don't have an issue number. But that's all right, because there are certain journals that don't have issue numbers. They just have the volume number and they will give you the page numbers, which is fine too. Okay, right, so far we have 20 references in our library. That's quite a lot, all right? But there's one more place I want to go into, because I know that most students use Google Scholar when they are searching. So I'm going to minimize my library. I'm going to go back to the library's website. I'm just going to close this, go back to the library's website. And on the library's website, under quick links, you will note that we have Google Scholar. If I click on Google Scholar, it will take me into Google Scholar, and I can do my search from here. So in my case, I'm going to do job satisfaction again and higher education. Note that I'm going to type it in. I'm also going to, and let me explain to you the reason that we put it in inverted commas. So the inverted commas is called phrase searching. So it's searching the phrase job satisfaction, and higher education on its own as well. All right. So when it finds job satisfaction has to be right next to each other. It cannot have job on one end of the title and satisfaction on the opposite end of the title. All right. So the same with higher education. So please, when you are using the inverted commas, be wary. Don't just use it for the sake of using it. Make sure that what you're looking for is correct and it actually, you do need it to be together. Like South Africa, for example. South Africa is good to use it in inverted commas because we want South Africa to be right next to each other. All right. Okay, so once you put in your key terms, I'm going to now click on the search button and you will note that job satisfaction appears right next to each other and so does higher education. All right, so use it. It's very useful. It's a very useful tip to use. All right, but not only that, now I'm looking at the results that I have. Look at my very first one. It's 1995, which is very old. So another tip that I give you for using Google Scholar is on the side, on your left-hand side, you will note that you can refine it by the date. And in this case, I'm going to refine it from since 2017 to current. And once I click on that, the search will automatically bring up all the ones from 2017 to current. So if I look at the very first one, that very first one looks very relevant to my research. Okay, and underneath you will find the authors. It gives you a 3-liner of what this is about, and right underneath that you will note that there are hyperlinks, and one of them is import into EndNote. So for every one of them, you'll note I have the import into EndNote button. Now you may not find that, and you have to go into the settings of Google Scholar to set it up for it to appear. And the way to do it is on your left hand side at the top next to Google Scholar, you'll find those 3 little drawers. If I click on it, it'll bring up the settings button. If I click on settings, here under Bibliography Manager, you will find I've already set it to EndNote. Yours by default will be BibText. You can click on that drop down and choose EndNote. And once you choose EndNote, then you save it and it will automatically, the import into EndNote will automatically appear under each of the references that you have. Okay, so I'm looking at the very first one. And yes, that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to click on it. And again, you will note that there's that little file that comes up here. But this time it's not a RIS file, it's a ENW file, which is compatible for Google Scholar and for EndNote, which means if I click on it once, then it will import that reference into my library. It's not showing it like it did, but if I click on it, my EndNote, you'll note there it is here. The reference is put into my EndNote library. Okay, and note again that there are certain fields that are missing here. There's no volume number, there's no issue number, there's no page numbers. So you have to go into that article, check for those, and then put that in. So sometimes from some databases that you use, you will not get all the details. So you've got to check as you go along. Let's look at, okay, so before we go into putting the NEF reference, I'm going to actually look at this particular one, and I want the full text of this particular article. So I'm going to click on pdfemerald.com. Here it is, and I'm going to save this to my desktop. So I'm going to choose desktop. I'm going to save this article, and good practice is saving it by the author's surname, which is A-B-O-R-A-M-A-D-A-N. That's his surname. And I'm taking note that I'm taking only the first author. All right. And what was the date of publication? This was, I think, 2020. So I can put a dash 2020. That is the date of publication, right? And I'm going to save it. So let me just make sure that this is a it's a 2021 article. Let me just make sure that it's nice and big so we can see it. Yep, it's a 2021 article. So on my desktop, where is it? There it is here. I'm going to change that to 2021 because I don't want it to get confused, and make sure that I've got the correct information. So I've saved it to the desktop. Here it is here. Okay, so let's go back to our Google Scholar search. All right, I'm going to just minimize that. Go back to the Google Scholar search. Just click on the back arrow. And this time, let's take the next one. Job satisfaction and problems among academic staff in higher education. Also sounds good for me, for my research. So I'm going to import it into my library. Here it is. I'm going to just click on it once, and it's importing it into my library. The fact that you see that import, it's already imported it. Let's look at the next one. Jobs for employee engagement among HR staff of Thai private higher education institutions. Yep, maybe I'll take that. Let's import it into EndNote. Click on it. You'll note that it has imported it into my library. It may not show up, but when I click on my library, there it is. It's imported it into my library. So it's as simple as that, putting it into your EndNote here. This particular reference also came from Google Scholar, but here it's already got all the details in there. All right, and the possibilities are this was a 2018 and the other was a 2021, which means that there's a possibility that it's in the process of being published. I'm not sure, we'll have to double check those. All right, okay. So far I have 23 references in my library. Okay. I've done with my searching, but remember that when you are searching in any one of the databases and you find all your information, it doesn't mean that that is the end all and be all. Every day there's research being uploaded into all of these databases. So how do you keep track of it? What do you do? There's a little create alert button. Now this is not to do with EndNote. This is just for your information, right? And to help you. This create alert button, if you click on it, it will take this particular search query and it will create an alert for you, so much so that anytime in Google Scholar an article appears in here after today, which is the 5th of August, after today, if it appears in here, what it will do is it will email it to you. You will need to fill in. Let me click on the create alert button. You will need to fill in your email address and then you can click on create alert. When you do that, then anytime it appears, anything appears in Google Scholar that's coming up after today, you will be alerted in your email box. This is actually very good because if you are studying and if you are doing your master's, remember that that topic is going to be with you for the next 2 years. If you're doing your doctorate, it could be 3 years. If you're doing a research article, then yes, you would like to know what is the most recent articles that appear in that particular topic. So you would want to be kept abreast. Okay, now that we've done with our searching online and we have our library, we have 23 references in our library. Another rule for EndNote is you cannot have duplicates. Let me just check to see that I am following a guide here, so I mustn't forget to tell you anything. Right, yes, we're in the right place. So we want to keep our EndNote library in order, and in order to do that, we must make sure we do not have duplicates. Right, that's the first thing. So we must find the duplicates and erase them. So at the top under the references, It's not there. It's moved from in your EndNote 19, it would have been under references. In EndNote 20, it's under library. So under library here, you've got a drop down, and here is the find duplicates. So in my library, because I've been searching the different databases, there are possibilities that I will have duplicates in my library. So I'm going to click on find duplicates, and immediately it comes up with one. And note, it's telling me that the type of article and the ISSN number, all of that is here in this particular one. And if you look here, they are the same, and it's actually the authors are the same, the year, the title is the same, the title of the journal is the same, it's got a volume number, it's got page numbers, all right? And I'm going to go down this and see which is a more better of the two records to keep, okay? So this one's got the keywords in here. It's even got the abstract, all right? And if I scroll further down, let's see what else it has. Excuse me. Let me just scroll down a bit more. It's got some notes there that it's picked up. It's got the URL. I think this one is a better option. So I'm going to keep this record. So this particular one on your left-hand side will be deleted, whereas the one that I've chosen will be kept. Here's another one, okay? And if we look at this particular one, let's take a look from the top to see what is different here, okay? It's the same title, exactly the same thing. The volume number, the issue numbers are the same, all right? Both have got no page numbers. We'll have to look through that. Let's go further down and see what else is required. This one's got an abstract on the right hand side. Okay, this one's also got it. Let's go further down and see what else. If you see, this may be a better option to keep. So I'm going to keep this record. So here it is. If we look now, we now have 21 references, and we've got 2 in the trash. In your trash, you can delete them from trash, or you can leave them there. It's up to you what you want to do. Okay, so another thing we've got to look at is, if you remember, I did say that your titles have to be in sentence case, all right? So, and if you look at this particular one, all right, you'll note that it is not in sentence case, right? I'm going to bring it up and so that you can see, and I'm just going to do once to edit once so that you would be able to do the rest. Okay, and you'll know how to do it. So I'm going to click on the edit button, just drag this particular column slightly more so I can see what's going on. So unfortunately, we have reported this to EndNote, and maybe in the next update, they will do it, where you can, in the X9, you were able to just highlight it and make it sentence case, whereas here, unfortunately, not yet, you can't do it. So we have reported it, and hopefully in the next update, they will be able to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to have to manually do it. Unfortunately, that's the way you have to do it for now. And the H for higher, E for education, institutions. I know it's quite tedious, offering sports education. So O and sports. Right. Once I've done that, all I do now is save it. And once it's saved, you will look at the summary and it all appears correct now. Okay, so that's how you get to actually put in or put your library in order by looking through them and making sure that everything appears correctly. Should you want to delete a reference that you don't require in your library, all you do is just click on it. You can drag it to trash or press the delete key and it will work. Okay, so far we're now looking at our references in our library, and we are now wanting to write. However, before we start writing, we have to have the full text. We've got to read up the full text so that we can start writing. So my library has got just the references in here. I want the full text articles in here. So I'm going to click on the reference tab here at the top. Remember, these are all the columns where each one of them are. And the reason I want to do that is I want to make sure that all my articles are together. So I'm going to look for the full text of the article, right? Okay, but before we do the full text of the article, let me go back to the authors. Remember that we've got a full text article on our desktop, this particular one. All right, remember I downloaded the PDF and I put it onto my desktop. Okay, so there are two ways of bringing this into your library. The one way is if I restored on my library, right? Restore down my library. What happens is it just makes my library smaller so that I can see my desktop. All I can do is drag this particular PDF and drop it over that particular one. Here it is. Can you see? It's now in my library. Simple as that. Just drag it, drop it in there. Or the other way is to click on the attach file and then find it on your desktop and attach it to this reference. Now I can delete this one on my desktop. I don't need it because it is now in my library. And if I click on anywhere out of there, it's now going to ask me, do you want to save what you've done so far? And I say yes. When I say yes, you'll note it is indexing the PDF and it's now got a little paper clip that tells me that for this particular reference, I have the PDF. And if I scroll down here, you will see there's the file attachment. And this file attachment can be a PDF, it can be a Word document, it can be a picture, it can be any file attachment. It doesn't really matter. Right. That was one way of attaching your PDF. Let's now go to reference type. And I want to see all the articles, but I want the PDF for each one of them, and I want to do them automatically. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the first one, which is that particular one, and I'm going to go right through until the last one, and I'm going to shift click, which means I'm going to mark all of them. Once I've marked them, I then go to the references tab at the top, and there's a find full text button here. All I do is click on find full text. So normally it should give you an authentication, which authenticates you. I'm going to click on continue, and what it's going to do now, it's going to search for the full text of the 16 articles that I marked. Just remember that sometimes there are some publishers who don't give you the access immediately from EndNote. We're going to try and find out if there's a way that we can activate it so that the full text will be easier to upload into your EndNote. So far you note that it has not found 3. Aha, it's found 1 already. Okay, and it's going to go through all of them. And once it puts a little paper clip, that means that it's now found the PDF and it's attached it to your reference. So it's just got a few, which gives me a bit of break from talking. So it's still searching. It's got the last 2 to search. 1 left. And here it is. So it's now found 3 PDFs, and it hasn't found for 13 of them, there's no PDFs. So what you would have to do is you will have to go to the article, go to the reference, and how I downloaded it, either from your search, library search, where you saw the full text, or from the Science Direct search. if you saw the full text, you can then download it and you can drag and drop it into your library. Okay, so we have a library. It's got 21 references. It's got the full text. I've added the full text to it. Now, what I would like to do is I'm doing my proposal. I've done my proposal. Let me just check that I haven't missed out anything. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've done my proposal. All I want is a list of the references that I've used. So I've used the 21 references, right, for my proposal, and I want every one of them in my Word document. Because I've completed the proposal, all I want is the list of these references in my Word document. So let's now open up a Word document. Vaneshri, just please tell me if you can see my Word document.
Sarah, I'm seeing a blank document.
Perfect. Right. So here I'm going to be writing reference list, or just references for that matter. I'm going to make it a little bit big so that you can see. All right, I'm just enlarging it. I want it to be bold. I want it to be, let's take it to be Arial, and I want it to be 14. So it makes it nice and big. Okay, and I'm going to enter. That mustn't be bold, that must be 12. Okay, so here I have already completed my proposal. I've done my in-text referencing. All I need is this list of references in my Word document. Okay, I hope everybody is with me. This is what we are doing. Right, I'm going to go back to my library. These are the 21 references that I used for my proposal. And in my proposal, I'm now putting in all these as my references. So I'm going to mark them again. Right, I'm going to go to the References tab. Just give me a second. Right, you go to the References tab. One of the options there is Copy Formatted Reference. When you click on Copy Formatted Reference, what it does is it's copying it in the format of the DUT Harvard style, referencing style. And now I'm going to go to my Word document, and all I do is right-click and paste it. So here's my list of references in the DUT Harvard style. Okay, remember, I have not looked for the volume and issue number here. So whatever is in your library, it will pick it up and put it into your document. So you've got to make sure that whatever is in your library is correct and your references are complete. Here we go. It's alphabetically arranged, okay, in the DUT Harvard style. Looks nice and neat, absolutely, right? And here it is. Okay, remember, by me just putting my eye over these references, I can note what is missing. So I can go back into my library and I can correct them, or I can add them. And once I've done that, I can then redo that, save it, redo it, and then get this list of references. Okay, so that's a copy and paste method, all right, which is very quick and easy to do. All right, I'm just going to go through it again with you so that you don't forget it, but I will be sending an EndNote guide which has the instructions on how to go about doing it again. But just to go back again, all we did is we marked all the references, we highlighted them, the 21 of them. We went to the References tab, we went to Copy Formatted. Once we copied it in the format of the DUT Harvard referencing style, we opened up our Word document and we right-click and we pasted it. As simple and easy as that, which will normally take you probably sometimes a whole day to do your referencing. This was with a click of a button, you have your reference list in order. Okay, so that was one method. I'm going to just highlight these and I'm going to delete it. Now have a clean Word document. And this time, what I'm going to do now is we are working through our thesis, or we're working through an article. Okay, so let's say we're working through our thesis document. And this is chapter 1. Okay, I'm just going to highlight that, make it a bit bigger so that it looks like a document. Chapter 1, and let's make the next one to be 12, and let's make this the introduction. Okay. Enter. So we're going to start writing up. So what I showed you first was one method of using EndNote, which is only the copy and paste of the reference list. But now I'm going to show you how to use EndNote for your long documents and for your documents like your thesis or your articles that you're writing for journal. Okay, so here's the introduction and let's start writing. And we are writing. We're writing the introduction, and the idea that I've written here comes from that book that we first did. What was the title of that book? It was by Drost, Social Sciences Research. So note there's a space at the end of that sentence. I click on, sorry, I should have told you, once you download the software and you install it, it automatically appears as a tab on your Word document. All right, so here it is here, there's the EndNote tab, and if I click on it, this ribbon has everything to do with EndNote. Okay, note that here I've also got the 6th APA style. I'm going to change that to the GUT Harvard style. Okay, and now I want to go to EndNote. I'm going to click on Go to EndNote at the top, and I'm going to look for that book that we did by Drost. Here it is. Let me just click on author. There's Drost, Social Science Research. This is the book that I used to write up that idea in my introduction. So I would like to cite it. So there are 2 ways of citing it. Actually 3 ways. The one is the shortcut, which is just here. All right, I'm going to demonstrate this. So once I've highlighted it, at the top here, when you move your mouse over it, it says insert citation for each selected reference. So I'm going to click on it, and note it will automatically appear at the top here. So here's your in-text, and there's your reference list. So don't worry about how it's formatted for now. I will show you that later because it's slightly different from the text up here as compared to the reference list. But all your details for your reference is already there. So I'm going to put a full stop and I'm going to continue writing. And note when I continue writing, my reference list at the bottom moves further down because that's where your reference list is supposed to be. It's supposed to be at the bottom of your document. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm just going to call this references at the bottom, and I'm just going to move it slightly further down. Okay, at the end of that sentence, that particular idea, there were 2 people who spoke about it. So I'm going to reference these 2. So I choose the one and I control click will allow me to choose more than one reference. And here again, I can click on this insert citation button and it will insert both of them in there and in my reference list again. Let's continue writing. Put a full stop. Continue writing. Uppercase. Don't want that. Continue writing. And as you're continuing to write, this particular article now came, you click on EndNote, it came from the other Drost book that we did, or rather the Drost journal article. Okay, and this time there's another way of inserting. Let me demonstrate. This is the first one. Here is the second one. So next to the styles, you'll find an insert button. You can click on the insert button and there it is, inserted it into your Word document. Remember, the reason that it's doing a 2011B is because we already used Drost, who has the same surnames, same date, so it picks up which you had used first as A and the second one as B. And let's put a full stop. This time we're going to start a new paragraph, but we would like to say that Celia's, or maybe another one of them. Let's go to our EndNote and find a reference. Okay, so I'm going to use the one that we've got the full text for. This particular author, insert it in either from here or here, it doesn't matter, states that but if you notice that because it appears, it's the default, it appears like this, I would like to have the authors outside the bracket, which is how it's supposed to be. So what you would do is click on it once. At the top, you'll find the Edit Manage Citation button. When you click on it, that was the default. It appears like that as a default. However, if you click on this drop down, you'll note that it gives you these options, display as author and the year in bracket, which is the correct way we want to do it. And we'll click on OK, and there it is. It actually shows you that. I hope this makes sense. And because I can't see your face, I'm hoping that you are thrilled with today's workshop. Okay, so I'm going to go on. One more last thing I want to show you. Okay, let me just check that I have done everything. Okay, so if you look at this reference list, okay, it's building up, and take a look at how neat it looks, right? It's got everything in order. It's according to the DUT Harvard style, okay? And remember that the DUT Harvard style allows you to put in page numbers. It is not compulsory, and it all dependent on your supervisors, all right? Remember, the DUT referencing guide is a guide, right? But if your supervisors ask you for a page number, right, in text, all you do is you click on the reference, okay? You go Edit Manage Citation as you did previously, and here it gives you a space where you can now put in the page number that you took that idea from. Normally, or with good practice, you would do that for quotations. So if you quote from a text, you will be required to put in the page number where you picked up that particular quote from. So in this case, I've picked it up from page 20. And I click on the OK button, and here it is. You'll note it's now put in the page numbers in. Right. So for those of you that are doing journal articles, and I've noted that there are quite a few staff members that are also on this workshop. So for those of you that are doing journal articles, you may want to change your style. So here is the DUT Harvard style. If I click on the drop down and I've been asked to use the APA style, all I do is click on it and take a look. It's changed it according to the to the APA 6th style. As simple as that. And this didn't take you long. It's like in a second, rather than having to go through this list manually and making sure that it appears in the APA style format. Okay, I'm going to change it back to the DUT Harvard style. and that's what it is. Okay. I'm now coming to the end of the session, but there's a few things that I need to tell you about. Okay. So if you look, I'm going to just minimize this, and in your library I am. Here's my library. I want to make a backup copy. So just like a Word document, you would have to make a backup copy of your library. Yes, libraries it's a software program, and just like your Word document, it can get what's the word? It can get corrupted, right? So what we encourage you to do is to keep a backup copy, and you don't have to make a backup copy every time you add a reference into your library. You make a backup copy of it after maybe you've put in like maybe 10 or 15 or however many articles you've already put into your library. It's up to you how you want to work, but you don't need to make a backup copy every day. All you have to do is go to the File button and you say Save a Copy. When you click on Save a Copy, it's going to make a copy in your, it's calling a training library copy, and it's asking you, okay, so where would you like to keep this copy of your library, a backup copy? You can keep it in your memory stick, you can keep it in your external hard drive, you know, it's up to you where you want to keep it, and you save it. Once you save it, it will save both these files. You don't have to do that. It will save both of them together, because remember, one relies on the other. They cannot be separated. You cannot just copy one of them, but when you're doing the save from the library, from here, it will save both the data folder as well as your EndNote library file. What else is there? Oh yes, have one EndNote library for all your writings, right? So if you are doing a thesis, have one library. You can create groups if you want to, right? For your chapters, it's up to you how you want to work. But my suggestion is one library with all your references together. What else was there? I'm just looking through mine. Notes. Oh yes, there was one more thing. In your Word document, this is the last thing. In your Word document, your supervisor says, oh, you know, this article here by Drost, it's taken for granted that, so you don't need it. Delete that reference. Or please, you cannot just press delete. With the copy and paste method, you could press delete. But when you're using the EndNote and it's got links, you cannot just press delete. So what you have to do is, all you do is click on that reference, go edit manage citation again, and at the top you'll note that that is the one that it's referring to. It's already highlighted. All you have to do here is click on that drop down and say remove citation. When you say remove citation, you can remove it and click on the OK button, and it will now remove that citation from your reference list as well as your in-text citation. Can you see that? It's gone. All right. Okay. Okay, so I have come to the end of my session. All right. We have finished about a half an hour early. That will give me time to take any questions or look at the chat. Right? And I hope that you have learned a new way to manage your references. And I hope that I have excited you enough to try out the software and get familiar with it. Try it out. The more you practice and the more you play around with it, the better you will become. Right? And as I said right at the beginning, it is a software program such that if you don't use it, you lose it. Meaning that if you don't use it often or you don't use it, you sometimes forget certain things. And that is normal. It's like you going on an Excel course and you did the Excel course today, but 2 or 3 weeks down the line, you don't use it. Now you've got to go back and use it. You tend to forget certain things, and that's normal. So that's the reason you are more than welcome to join in again on any one of our other workshops as well. Thank you very much. I'm going to now stop sharing and take a look at the chat. I'm not going to save, don't save. I'm going to stop sharing. And is there any comments? I just got to go through. Vaneshri, did you see any?
Yes, yes, Sarah. I think we'll start at the top where I think one of the attendees wanted to know if we were recording the session. So yes, we are recording. And I know we did have a bit of a hiccup at the beginning where some of our attendees were not able to join us. So if they were not using their DUT login details, they could not join the session. So we will be sharing this recording with everyone that registered for the session.
Okay, is there any other?
And it says, good morning, how can I download EndNote on my laptop? I think I've posted in the chat some detail which I've got off the library website, how to go about downloading EndNote. I'm just looking through my chat. Look, it says, good morning, trying to download EndNote via the DUT library. When staff credentials are added, a new page with OneDrive opens up. Kindly advise which is the file to download the software.
Okay, so let me answer that question. Yes, there's a OneDrive folder that comes up. You will save that OneDrive folder. You will also note that that folder is a zip folder, all right? So please don't just open that folder. Just save that whole folder onto your desktop. Once you save it onto your desktop, you will right-click on it and you will click on Extract All. If you don't click on Extract All, you will be asked for a product key. So please, I've been having this problems with lots of students who just double-click on that folder. Please don't double-click. Right-click on it and Extract All. Right, so please, and if you're having a problem, you're more than welcome to just email us. We have got staff, IT staff, who are available and they will take you through the process on Teams. All right, please, while I'm still online, I'd like you to fill out the evaluation form. I have put a link to it. So please, will you fill out that evaluation form before you leave? It just gives us an idea of where we can better our webinars or our workshops. Okay, Vaneshri, the next one. Any other questions?
Will the updated EndNote still keep a record of my references from the old version?
Of course, yes. All right, so what happens is if you're using an X9, which is 19, and you now want to move over to 20, what you have to do is you've got to uninstall 19, and it's very simple to uninstall it, but you don't have to worry about your library that you have, because when you install EndNote 20, it will convert your X9 library into 20 to make it compatible so that you will be able to open up your library. It will call it converted. It will call it your library name, My EndNote Library, converted. So that's what it will be. So you'll be able to automatically access all your references in the new platform in EndNote 20.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Here's another one. Why can't you extract the reference metadata automatically? Manual is prone to errors.
Yes, that's why we showed you two ways of doing it. And the reason we did that is because if you note, if you are going onto the DUT Open Scholar, or you're going to Open Scholar is where you will find the thesis of the institution, or you're going to the institutional repositories of maybe University of Pretoria or UCT or any one of those, they don't have an EndNote button where you can click and automatically get into it, or get the reference into your library. So those are the ones that you would have to do manually. And that's why we make sure we show you how to do it, so you are aware and you know which are the fields that you would have to insert in order for it to appear correctly as well. So that's just once off, and but the rest of the references, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal article, electronic journal article, those are the ones that you can automatically export it into your library. I'm hoping that is the answer to your question.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. And another one, well, this word while you were in session, I'm not too sure if you covered this. Please reference a chapter in a book.
Okay, so a chapter in a book, all right, is very simple. All you have to do is, first of all, in your library, okay, what you would do is, okay, let me go online again so that I can make it available so that you can see. Just a second, 1 second. Let me share again. All right, I'm glad that these questions are coming so that you are aware. All right, okay, so let's take a look at this book. This book is called Research Matters, and it's referenced as a book. However, I want to index a chapter in this book. I'm using a chapter that's in this book. So what I will do is I go to the edit button. I will click on this drop down, and where you see book section is actually book chapter. So when you click on that, then it will tell you, okay, these are the authors, this is the year, this is the title of the chapter. Okay, so this is the title of the book, not the title of the chapter. So all I do is move that down, and I can then put in the title chapter. So let's just say, I'm just going to say let's call it sustainability with Research Matters, but doesn't matter. And the editor, you can put in the editor. This tells you that these are authors who wrote this chapter, but there may be an editor as well. If there's no editor, it's fine. If there's an editor, let's say the editor was myself. So I can go on, and now there's page numbers. The page numbers for this chapter was maybe 20 to 37 for that matter. This was the second edition, and that's it. So once I save this, all right, and I now look at the summary, there it is. It tells you, okay, so these are the authors of that chapter. It appeared in, this is the title of the book. It was the second edition, and these are the publisher details and the page numbers for that particular chapter. Okay, I hope that is clear. All right, I'm going to...
Thank you, Sarah. Another question, can you please share the basic rules when loading a reference? Example, comma use, spacing, etc.
Okay, perfect. So when I share that EndNote guide, it will have all the details in there, and it's a step-by-step guide. So you will be able to use it. All right. If you have a problem, you're more than welcome to let us know where you are stuck. All right. But I will be sharing it. I will send it to Vinayashri, who will make it available to all those that have attended. All right.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Sarah, I think you did cover it, but maybe do this one more time. How to change the style to DUT Harvard?
Okay, so is this in the EndNote or is it in the Word document? All right, so I'm going to do it both ways. All right, so let's share my screen again. All right, so if you are in EndNote and you want to see the DUT Harvard style, but you have got it under, I think it's the default is the annotated or the author date or something like that. Let's put its author date. So here's the author date style. All right, and you want the DUT Harvard style. All it is you click on this drop down, and if you don't see it amongst this list here that appears, right at the top you've got to select another style. If you click on select another style, these are all the different styles that are available from EndNote. These are your journal articles or your journal titles, some of them, all right? But we are looking for the DUT Harvard style because we loaded on it when we did the download. So it's alphabetically arranged, and you will find the DUT Harvard style. All right, there it is here. So you choose it, and once you choose it, then it will appear here. Right. If you're looking at your Word document, oh my word, I closed that and didn't save it. But in your Word document, I'm going to open it up again. All right. And if you go into EndNote at the top, here at the top in this ribbon under EndNote, you will find the styles. And if you click on the drop down, you can change it to whichever style you want to. And remember, there are more than, I think there are more than 500 styles that are available. So you can select another style, and you can choose whichever style you want, and then you can save that and it will appear. Okay. I think what also is required is when you are downloading the software, there's also the files to download for the DUT Harvard style. So there are two files. One is an XML file and one is the ENS, which is the EndNote style file. So those two files you would require, and there is a proper instructions as to how to go about putting it into your styles folder. Once you have it in your styles folder, then you will be able to see the DUT Harvard style. You may not see it initially because you may not have put it into the styles folder. So if you're having a problem, just email us and we will be able to help you do that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. We're moving on to our next question. Can I import reference library from Mendeley to EndNote?
Yes. Yes, there is. On EndNote, there is a place where you import your references. I just got to, for those of you that want to do it, just contact me and I will try and find an instructions on how to do it, but it's very simple. And both ways, from EndNote to Mendeley or from Mendeley to EndNote, you can go ahead and do it. So there is a simple instructions on how to go about doing it, but please contact me. So for the person that's using Mendeley, you are welcome, and I'll share that with you as well.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Can I import a manuscript previously written into an EndNote? The manuscript was written without using an EndNote.
Aha. There's no easy way to do it, unfortunately. I wish there was. I wish I could say, just wave this wand and get all these references that are in the manuscript into EndNote. We tried on various occasions to do that, but unfortunately, if you didn't use a reference manager, so whether it is Mendeley, whether it is RefWorks, it could be ProSite, it could be Zotero, there are ways to get those references into your EndNote library. However, if you have not used anyone and you've just used it manually, then unfortunately you've got to go in to the databases or to Google Scholar, find those references, put it into your library, and then insert them into your in-text, and then you'll see them appearing in your reference list. I hope I've clarified that.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. We always have the recording to go back to just to reflect on what you've shared with us. I'm going to move on to the next question. I think you have covered this, but I'll repeat it. How do I copy my libraries from EndNote X9 to 20, and how does the groups work?
Okay, so for copying of your library, you do not need to copy it. You leave your library wherever it is, all right? You don't copy it, you don't do anything. If you've got X9 and now you want to move over to 20, what you have to do is you've got to first uninstall EndNote from your programs. So you will go uninstall X9 and install 20. When you install EndNote 20, then what happens is when you want to open up your library, it will automatically convert it, and it will then be called My EndNote Library Converted. Or as I did, if I had my training library, right, I had my training library on EndNote X9, and I now want to open it in 20, then it will be called My Training Library Converted. So it's converting it to be compatible with 20. So you don't have to copy it into 20. It will automatically do that. All it does is changes the file name because it tells you that it's now converting it to be compatible with EndNote 20. That was your first question. The second question was the creation of groups. And all you have to do is in your library, okay, let me go there. Okay, you can see my screen. Under the
Yes.
groups, all you do is you right click and you say create group. So when you create a group, it could be chapter 1 to 1. Okay, and now you've created a group called chapter 1. Okay, and now here's all my references, but for chapter 1 so far I have no references in there. So I would like to take maybe the first 5. Right, all I do is mark them and I drag it and drop it into my groups. So it doesn't come off my library. This is my all references, but here's my chapter 1. And if I click on chapter 1, here are my 5 references. So you create groups, it depends. Sometimes you may be writing an article for a particular journal and you want those references to be separated, to be separate, then sure, you can actually say article 1 or article for this particular journal and you keep them in under that particular group. And to delete a group, very simple. All you do is right click and towards the bottom, let me put my glasses back on, sorry. It's at the bottom, you'll see it says delete group. You can delete your group and say yes, and it's deleted. So you've got it there. I hope that I've clarified that one, or that question is answered.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. That helps. I'm moving on to the next question. If you have your PDF articles already downloaded and saved in a folder, is there a way of automatically adding them to EndNote, or you'll have to do them manually?
Aha, that's a very good question. And it's one of the things that I was supposed to cover, but here it is. Okay, so I have a folder of references that's called research articles in my folder. I'm going to go to the file option. I'm going to go to the import. It is a folder, right? I'm going slowly so you know. All right, so it's got file, import, folder, and now it's asking me, so where is it? Choose it. So I'm going to choose it. I've got it on my desktop, okay? It's under my 2021 folders. It's under EndNote. Where's my EndNote? Aha, here it is. And see the research articles? That's the one. Once I have it, all I do is click on OK. All right. It is in PDF format. All those in there, my references, sorry, my files are all PDF. I'm importing all of them and I click on the import folder. Now, there's one thing while it's importing it, let me quickly tell you something. You have to be online when you are doing this. And the reason you have to be online is because those articles that have got the PDF some of them have got a DOI, which is a digital object identifier. If that article has got a digital object identifier on it, written on it, or printed on it, then it will find all the details for that article and put it automatically into your library, which means that you do not have to go in and look for that reference, then come back and then drag and drop that article in there. Take a look. These are all the articles that I had in my research articles folder. For every one of them, almost every one of them, it has got everything in there. Let me just minimize that. Bring this up here. Sorry, 1 second. Oops. All right, take a look. Everything is filled out automatically for you. It's got the full text right there. You can open up the full text separately if you want to. There it is. You can close this window because it's the PDF, right? You can make notes on it, everything on that. But all of them appear except for one. This particular one, this PDF if I open it, you will note that this PDF does not have a DOI. And that's the reason that EndNote could not figure out what is the title, what is the, can you see if I go to edit, there's no title, sorry, the title comes up as the PDF, there's no author, there's no year, all the details have to be filled out. Whereas in the other one, because it had a DOI on that article, let me show you the DOI. Okay, so let's go to the PDF and let's just expand it. Can you see there at the top, HTTPS, that's the DOI. When it has a DOI, then EndNote automatically can figure out which is all the details for that particular article. So it can put in the authors, it can put in the year, the title of the article, the journal title, volume number, issue number, page numbers, all the details, even the DOI will be put in as well as the full text article. Okay, so I hope that is easy for you to understand and it's simple, straightforward, right? But just remember, if your article does not have a DOI, it will appear like this with no details. So you'll have to go in and put all the details in for that particular article.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. We have Dr. Emin has raised her hand. I'm going to unmute her. We'll take a question from her.
Sure.
Okay, Doc, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah and Vaneshri, for a beautiful presentation again on EndNote. Sarah, my problem is that my research library, the one I use for my doctorate studies, it's about 4 years old now, but I see that every time I try to open the attachments, it's giving me an error message. None of the attachments in that particular library is opening anymore. So I just wanted to ask you, does it expire or what can I do? Thank you.
No. It doesn't expire at all. So what happens is there's a possibility that something went wrong. It's a possibility that you had an older version and somewhere along the line it got corrupted. Okay, and this can happen, right? But there is a way of actually restoring your library. We have done it, both Evan and myself have done it for some students who had a problem with their library. It got corrupted. So what we did is we restored the library, and there is a method of doing it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we've got to take our chances. And there's a possibility that somewhere along the line, that file got corrupted. Your file got corrupted. And we have to look at each case by case, right? And then try and help you to restore that library. So if you can, probably make an appointment after the session or sometime, then we can look through it. I can go through Teams with you and we can find out exactly what we can do with that. But that is a possibility and that can happen as well.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Okay, thank you, Doc, and thank you, Sarah, for answering that question. I'm just going to move on quickly. I see our time is running out. We have a few minutes left in the session. Another question, Sarah, assuming I have saved my library in a flash disk, can I use the library in some other computer with EndNote, assuming mine is broken or lost?
Okay, perfect. I'm glad that you asked that question. It's a very valid question as well, because remember that we used to have students come into the Research Commons, right? And some of them don't have a laptop. They use the desktops here. So what happens is they would carry their library on a memory stick. Okay, they carry the Word document and their library on a memory stick, and they come into the Research Commons and they just plug it in and they use it, right? So you can carry your library on a memory stick, and you can use it on any computer that has EndNote installed in it. Okay, so just like a Word document, if you go to a computer that doesn't have Microsoft Word, you won't be able to open it. But The same way, if you've got an EndNote library, you will be able to open it on any computer that has the EndNote installed in it, program installed in it. The only problem is that the versions, if you've got a very old version, you may, as I told you, you may need to convert it, or it will automatically convert it to the new library. So that's the only problem you may experience, but otherwise you shouldn't have a problem using it from your memory stick.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Moving on, there is a comment from C. Ngubani. You want to know how can we download the app? He's apologizing because he joined us late. C. Ngubani, please can you scroll up in the conversation? I did paste details how to download the app. Sarah,
He may not be, sorry, Vaneshri, he may not be able to see the conversation, I think. I'm not sure.
But we can share it with
yes,
him and I'll repost it.
Okay, perfect.
Right, so we're saving some time. I'm moving on to the next question, which says, with regard to reference with multiple authors,
Yes.
example XYZ et al., my
Yes.
supervisor mentioned that when I'm using reference for the first time, I should show all the authors' names. I can't seem to show all the authors' names. Please advise in-text referencing.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so for you, what we would have to do is customize the style. So at the top here, you're going to go to edit. You're going to, oh, sorry, where is it? They've moved it because I'm thinking of the old. Aha, it's under library. Just a second. Output style. There we go. Under tools, if you're using 20, it's under tools, output style. We would have to edit the DUT Harvard style. And the way we edit it is make sure that you can see all the first time occurrence. They call it first occurrence. List all authors on first occurrence. So what I will have to do is if you can book a time with me on Teams, I will be able to show you how to go about doing that so that your authors, for your multiple authors on first occurrence appear. Now, according to the DUT Harvard style, this is not the way that you do it. However, for those supervisors who would like to actually see this happening, we would have to adjust the style for those students. Okay, so please just make an appointment with me and I will take you through Teams and show you how to go about doing that.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. The rest of our comments are also very complimentary to you and thanking you for the session. So I'm not going to go through that. I just also want to remind our colleagues that have attended today, Sarah, that we have another session on the 12th of August. And so between my office and your office, we'll be posting the invitations, but I'm also going to paste the link in the chat. So if colleagues want to attend that, they can register and we'll be sharing the links with them and sending them calendar invites so that they can
hang on. Oh, sorry, Vaneshri. The one on the 12th is not an EndNote session, right?
No, it's for thesis.
Right. It's a word for thesis. So the next EndNote session will probably be in the next month. So for those of you who still would like to attend, you just wait and keep an eye out for the advert that comes out for the next or the announcement for the next EndNote.
Yes, and Sarah, also to advise attendees, we do have their email addresses. So when we are marketing our workshops, we will definitely be sending them an invite to their inbox. Okay, Sarah, I think we've come to the end of the comments. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
No, just that I'm glad that you all attended and please go ahead and try it out. If you have a problem, you're more than welcome to contact us. It's either Lindiwe, myself, or Avenel. You can contact either one of us and we'll be able to help you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah, for your time and for this presentation. I'm sure all of us that joined today are so grateful for the help that you and the postgraduate librarians provide to us. We thank you again and wish everyone well for the rest of the day, and we will see them again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Enjoy
everyone.
your day. Okay, bye.